Hello and welcome to Computer Tech and More. Today we're going to be taking a second look at the Be Quiet Lightwings 120. This is part of my read-on series where I redid all of my noise testing analysis on every single fan that I've tested thus far to update my total methodology piece. So let's do a little bit of explanation and then I'm going to get into the right into the graphs and the details.
Be Quiet. So it's basically a bog standard 120 millimeter fan, standard thickness of 25 millimeters. It uses a rifle style bearing.
So what's this video going to be about? Well, if you're new to this channel, I do recommend that you watch the second half of this video first because it's going to go over all the graphs and the details of what was tested and why each test is important. If you're returning to this channel, you can just watch this brief overview because it's a was-now comparison. So we've got the original testing methodology to the new testing methodology, and these are all the 120 millimeter class fans that I've tested. It has the rank for both, the model, the RPM, and the test that was performed. First up is the CPU cooler test, noise normalized. It was ranked 8th. It is now ranked 14th, so a little bit of loss in position there relative to the other fans. Next up is cooler testing at 100% PWM fan signaling. It retains a position of 13th. Value proposition, cooler test, noise normalized. It was ranked 19th. It is now ranked 24th. 100% PWM fan signaling, cooler test, value proposition. It retains a position at 31st. CFM testing noise normalized. It was ranked 5th. It is now ranked 9th, so a little bit of loss in position there. CFM testing 100% PWM fan signaling. It was ranked 10th and retains that position. CFM value proposition noise normalized. It was ranked 15th. It is now ranked 21st. CFM value proposition 100% PWM fan signaling. It retains its position at 27th, so middle of the pack. A case simulation test, 6-inch mark, noise normalized. It was ranked 14th. It is now ranked 26th, so a loss in position there. 11-inch mark, case simulation test, noise normalized. It was ranked 35th. It is now ranked 40th, a little bit of a loss there. Value proposition, 6-inch mark, noise normalized. It was ranked 28th. It is now ranked 37th. 11-inch mark, noise normalized. Was ranked 40th and retains that position. So now we're on to the specific graphs and the details. First up is the case simulation test. The case simulation test can be looked at in a couple key different ways, but first and foremost, the most important for you, the viewer, is what size case do you actually plan on buying? I took 4 key measurement points, the 6, the 9, the 11, and the 14.5 inch mark. Now, these distances are representative of the distance from the front of the case, where the front case fans are, blowing air back to the rough position of the CPU socket. So in every case, it would be assuming that you have an open air type case of each size, and you're using an air cooler. That is what the size represents. So first up is the 6-inch mark. The 6-inch mark is representative of your small form factor ITX cases that are still a front to back airflow design, or a short throw distance. So the 6-inch mark could also be representative of you're putting a case fan in the bottom of your case and blowing air up into your GPU. The 6-inch mark is not representative of your ultra-compact small form factor cases. Then we have the 9-inch mark. The 9-inch mark is representative of your compact tower, something that can probably still hold an ATX or MATX motherboard with a graphics card that is roughly the same length as the motherboard. Then we have the 11-inch mark. The 11-inch mark is representative of your standard mid-tower cases. The 14.5-inch mark is representative of your large tower, something like the Fractal Design Torrent would actually be that size. What do we compare it against? Well, I have a control fan. The control fan is 3 parts A12X25 to 1 part A14. 140 millimeter class fans tend to do better at the 11 and 14.5 inch mark, while smaller 120s tend to do better at the 6 and 9. So blending those two fans together, two good fans within their own respective categories, I tried to create a good composite fan to get sort of this best all-rounder possible. So any fans that beat it can be considered good to excellent. Fans that are underneath it could be considered good to poor, depending on where they're positioned. So we see that the red line here is the light wings, and then the blue line here is the silent wings. So the light wings is underperforming pretty significantly. I would be considering it a relatively poor performer here. Let's move on to 100% PWM fan signaling. And here it actually gets pretty close to my control fan. And its noise level is significantly quieter than the silent wings. However, the silent wings is also spinning significantly faster. So you can't have everything. It is fairly close to my control fan, so it could be considered in that okay category. Not necessarily poor, not excellent, but okay. How does it compare against other fans? Well, first is noise normalized. Well, we see right here that it drops pretty steeply from the 6 to the 9-inch mark and continues to drop at the 11-inch mark. So I would actually consider it a very poor performer unless you're using it in a smaller case. Next, let's look at the 100% PW fan signal mark, and we see that the Lightwings is still underperforming compared to other fans. It would be not as bad as the very bad, but it's certainly not very good overall. Now, at the 9-inch mark, we're doing airspeed versus decibel rating. So what are we seeing here? Well, it's certainly sitting right towards the bottom of the graph. I guess, yeah, that's all there really is to it. It's not performing particularly well compared to the other fans. Next, we're taking a look at airspeed through my CPU air cooler, the Noctua U12A. On both these graphs, better fans are going to be in the top left, worse fans are going to be in the bottom right. So let's get into it. The first graph here on the left side is RPM versus airspeed. This is effectively an efficiency graph. It is how good is this blade design at pushing air through a CPU air cooler. And we see that the Lightwings matches very closely to my control fan, while the Silentwings for Pro tends to outperform them, showing that there is a blade design difference between these two fans, where the Silentwings is overall a better design to push air through a restriction. On the right side here, we have noise versus airspeed. This is how efficient the fan is at a given noise level for an airspeed. Airspeed is vertical, noise is horizontal. Again, every 10 decibels is a doubling in noise volume. We see that the Lightwings matches very closely to my control fan, and the Silentwings is also matching both the two fans fairly closely. Now, overall, I would say that the Lightwings and the Silentwings are a little bit noisier than my control fan at a given airspeed, but they're, in many data points, not too far off, except for right here in the middle. What does that equate to? Like 1,200, 1,400 RPM. They're a bit on the noisy side. How does it compare against other fans? Well, first we see that the Lightwings is sitting right here in the middle of the graph. So we see that the Lightwings is towards the upper end of the graph at noise normalized values. So it's in an overall pretty good position overall. Things at 100% PWM fan signal also continue to look fairly well for the Lightwings 120. It is sitting under the absolute top performance, but it's overall in a very good position. It is overall outperforming the A12X25, albeit at a little bit noisier, but it is also spinning faster. So you have to determine for yourself whether that is worth it to you or not. Now, airspeed versus decibels. We see that the Lightwings starts off fairly poorly, being noisy for how much air it pushes, but then it quickly gains traction, and all these fans listed would be considered fairly good by my results. And the Lightwings is just being put in to compare it. So at 20, 30, and 40% PW fan signal is where the fan finally becomes what I would say to be pretty good. And then it continues to climb, ending up fairly close to the top of the graphs. So the Lightwings is overall a fairly good, I wouldn't say excellent, but fairly good pick for your CPU coolers. Next up, we have CFM testing. This is probably my least favorite test of all. RPM versus CFM. Again, the blade efficiency, we see that all of them line up perfectly. So this is case in point. It proves my point about this test, how fans all look like they're performing roughly equal to each other, and they're not. So then we have noise versus CFM. This at least differentiates them because every fan makes a different amount of noise, and we do see that they are very different in noise volume. Matter of fact, the Lightwings fairly closely matches my control fan at many RPMs other than its bottom end, while the Silentwings tends to be quite a bit noisier. How does it compare against other fans I've tested? So again, this isn't every fan I've tested, but it is a large subsample set of good, middle, and poor performing fans, and we see that it's boom, right up there towards the top, but not quite at the tippy top. At 100% PW fan signaling, it once again is in that very similar position. Then we have noise versus CFM, and it starts off poor, and then it continues to climb at a better rate than many other fans around it, going from poor to okay to pretty good to very good, and then it reaches the end of its RPM range. Now we're on to value proposition. The Lightwings 120 is a $27 fan, and this is based off standard retail pricing as I could find it on Amazon. Note prices change by time period, by when we are in the year, and by region to region. So I do recommend that you recalculate it based on where you live if you care about the value proposition. So first we're going to be taking a look at value performance at the 6-inch mark. Noise normalizer is always on the left side, and 100% PW and fan signaling is always on the left side. So the light wings is pretty much a middle of the road. It is not good value, it is not poor value. It is smack dab middle for the 6-inch mark, and that is true even at 100% PW fan signaling. At the 11-inch mark, however, it could be considered a very poor performer. It is well off the average or the middle of the pack. And you can see which ones are the top performers here in this category. At 100% PW fan signal, it still is underperforming compared to other fans. It's not terrible, but it is underperforming. Going through the CPU air cooler, we see that the value proposition is right at the middle of the roads. It's not super high, but it's not quite terrible. It really is sitting right about the average. So it's okay. At 100%, I would still call it right about that average. Maybe slightly over, but not great. It certainly isn't a peak performer. So if you like RGB and you like its visual appearance, it certainly would be a good choice. And CFM testing here it is, again, slightly above average. So where does this leave me with a quick conclusion to this fan? Well, if you like its RGB appearance, you like the blade design, it certainly is a pretty good pick. I wouldn't use it as a case fan. I would only use it in radiators, AIOs, or heat sinks. There certainly are much better performing fans out there for the same noise level. But if you like the RGB appearance, note that you're not getting a bad fan overall. And at the end of every video, I do like to show off my raw data. This raw data does belong to me. I am the one who generated it. It takes me about 1.5 to 2 hours to generate this level of detail. If you want to use it for your own particular use, that means if you want to record it, put it into your own Excel chart so that you can recalculate whatever values you want in the future, value proposition, that kind of stuff. As long as it's on your own personal computer and you don't really publicize it, you are more than welcome to do so. However, if you want to put it in any sort of video, written, journal, paper, anything like that, media that goes out into the public, I do ask they reference me and my channel because this data does belong to me and I worked hard to generate it. I am an aerospace engineer, so this is a fundamental interest of mine, meaning collecting this kind of data, and I've always liked collecting data. If you've watched my channel at all, I have lots of data to collect. But I specialized in fluid mechanics in my master's degree, so this is actually an area of specialty for me. That's my explanation of saying why I'm a trusted source on this topic. If you've got suggestions on how I can improve my videos in the future, please leave in the comment sections down below. I always take constructive criticism. Just note that it may take a little while for me to implement to my video because I tend to buy a lot of fans and then I make a lot of videos and then I might buy more fans and make more videos and so on and so forth. If you got suggestions on what fans I should do in the future, please leave that in the comment sections down below. I will certainly try to acquire it. For ease of me acquiring it, I would say try to have it as a fan available on Amazon. Other than that, well, I hope you have a great day. Please subscribe for more content, and I really appreciate it. To those of you who have subscribed to me on Patreon, it will really help me get to the next level with producing videos and accuracy of my data. Anyways, thank you very much. Have a great day, and hope to see you next time on Computer Tech and More.